The anime opens inside a dark dungeon where a lone adventurer is busy slaughtering horned bunnies that look like unicorns but behave more like nightmares. While the concept sounds ridiculous, it becomes immediately clear that these creatures are anything but cute. Oren cuts through several of them with practiced ease, quietly wondering how his sword skills have remained so sharp despite not fighting seriously for quite some time. The bunny massacre barely has time to settle before a group of goblins storms in, eager to volunteer themselves for defeat. Rather than relying solely on raw swordplay, Oren enhances himself with support magic, dramatically boosting his attack power. The effect allows him to tear through multiple goblins at once, proving that versatility can be just as lethal as specialization. Unfortunately, the magic lasts only 3 minutes, forcing Oren to recast it immediately once it wears off. Missing that window during an intense battle would be less oops and more fatal mistake. After what could generously be called a productive day at work, slaying monsters for a living, Oren returns to the hero's party mansion, expecting recognition or at least a pat on the back. Instead, he receives something far less pleasant. His childhood friends, now his teammates, inform him that he is being dismissed from the party entirely. The promotion he had unknowingly hoped for turns into a spectacular demotion straight out the door. Naturally, Oren argues his case, pointing out that Oliver's decision-making skills leave much to be desired. Oliver, however, remains unmoved. According to him, Oren is talented at everything but exceptional at nothing. Every member of the hero's party specializes in a single role, attack, defense, or support, and they no longer need a jack-of-all-trades who can do a bit of everything. What they want is a dedicated enchanter capable of delivering overwhelming support magic. Oren had been filling that role out of necessity, not preference, simply because no one else in the clan could. That temporary solution, Oliver explains, has reached its expiration date. To make matters worse, Oliver drops the final blow. The clan already has a new enchanter lined up, and the group has collectively decided that Oren's flexibility is more of a liability than an asset. With nothing left to argue, Oren thanks the clan for their time together and leaves the office without another word. His blank expression speaks louder than any outburst ever could. To vent the frustration of betrayal, Oren does what he knows best. He dives back into dungeon hunting. Though the wound left by his former friends is still fresh, it fuels a new resolve rather than breaking him. Instead of remaining a jack of all trades, he decides to aim higher and become a master of all trades. The idea sounds impossible, but Oren knows his own limits, and more importantly, his potential. He is certain the hero's party made a mistake by letting him go. During a solo raid in a new dungeon, Oren encounters a group of adventurers fleeing in panic. They explain that they narrowly escaped a horde of demons, but abandoned one of their allies in the process. This revelation clashes violently with Oren's sense of justice. Combined with the bitterness of his recent betrayal, it ignites a dangerous amount of rage. Without hesitation, he demands to know where they left their companion, and immediately heads deeper into the dungeon. There, he finds a young girl trapped and surrounded by monsters twice her size, each one far stronger than she is. She maintains a defensive spell, fully aware that both her strength and the barrier have limits. As the shield begins to falter, she calls out desperately for her sister, tears streaming down her face. Her answer does not come from her sister, but from Oren. He cuts through the demons with terrifying precision, acknowledging that enemies of this caliber would normally overwhelm most dungeon raiders. The girl watches in awe as Oren seamlessly combines expert swordsmanship with self-cast support magic, something she has never seen anyone do so effectively. By the time the fight ends, her fear has been completely replaced by admiration, grateful beyond words. The girl introduces herself as Sophia Claudel and offers to repay Oren by treating him to dinner. Initially, he declines in classic shy protagonist fashion, but Sophia's charm proves far too persuasive. They head to a cozy restaurant, where Sophia's older sister soon joins them. The sister, Selma, takes one look at the scene and immediately misunderstands everything. With the reasoning skills of an excited child, she assumes her little sister has brought Oren along on a date. After several painfully awkward exchanges, the misunderstanding is finally cleared up. Sophia explains what happened, and Selma becomes deeply indebted to Oren for saving her sister. Oren, however, reacts very differently. Selma is no ordinary woman. She is a powerful enchantress and the very person who influenced Oliver's belief that the hero's party needed stronger, more specialized support. She was the one who promoted rigid dungeon roles, swordsmen, defenders, and dedicated enchanters. That system revolutionized dungeon raiding, but it also pushed adaptable fighters like Oren out of demand. Ironically, the person responsible for reshaping modern dungeon teams is now sitting right in front of him. Despite this, Oren feels no resentment. After speaking with Selma, he recognizes her as someone who genuinely saved lives by improving how dungeon raids operate, not as someone who stole his place. That realization says a great deal about a character. Selma, in turn, sees potential in Oren. She does not judge him for being dismissed from a hero's party, and instead recognizes his rare versatility. She invites him to assist the Night Sky Silver Rabbits, one of the most prestigious clans in the country, for a single job. Though still cautious after his recent betrayal, Oren accepts, reassured by the fact that he is not officially joining, just helping out. Later, Oren visits a familiar shop owned by an elderly merchant preparing the clothes for the day. The man allows him to stay, grateful for Oren's longtime patronage during his days with the hero's party. Oren admits that he will no longer be as valuable a customer now that he has lost his status. The old man simply reminds him that status never mattered. What mattered was that Oren was the same person who had walked into the shop for the first time all those years ago. That reminder gives Oren a renewed sense of hope, and with it, the resolve to move forward into the next chapter of his life. The next episode opens with Oren meeting the leader of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits, where he is briefed on an upcoming expedition. The plan involves pushing down to dungeon level 51 with a massive party that includes an unusually high number of rookies, while experienced members are supposed to provide support. The explanation does little to ease Oren's concerns. Oren is known for his ability to read between lines, and in this case, the lines might as well be glowing red. Sending rookies that deep into a dungeon, even with veterans backing them up, sounds less like a training mission and more like a pre-written incident report. The situation becomes even more suspicious when he learns how generous the pay is. His instincts are practically screaming that something is wrong, but at this stage in his life, things have already gone so badly that he figures they cannot realistically get much worse. With that grim optimism, he agrees to join the expedition under his new clan. Unbeknownst to Oren, Selma has already spoken with the Silver Rabbit leader beforehand and informed them that Oren has been cast aside by his previous party. She makes it clear what she thinks of that decision. In her view, the hero clan must have been severely impaired, consider someone like Oren a liability. Selma explains that she understands Oren's abilities better than most. While his support magic may be slightly below average in raw power, his casting speed more than compensates for it. On top of that, his instincts and ability to assess situations instantly are exceptional. The fact that many of the spells he uses are entirely his own creations only further proves his talent. Selma argues that people like Oren are easily overlooked by fools, but their true value is obvious to anyone with real intelligence. She compares him to a diamond placed in the hand of a child, pointing out that as someone that immature, a priceless gem and a random rock hold the same value. Vince Briers agrees with her assessment and adds that the hero clan is likely in for a rude awakening when they finally realize how badly they misjudged their own strength. The following day arrives, and Selma is visibly pleased to see Oren join the expedition. She gathers a large group of rookies and delivers a rousing speech meant to boost morale, though her method is, at best, questionable. She announces that Oren, formerly of a hero clan, will be accompanying them and casually mentions that he has reached dungeon level 94. The rookies immediately explode with excitement. Oren, however, is far less enthusiastic. He confronts Selma and points out that the claim is misleading, since he did not reach that depth on his own. He also makes it clear that the last thing he wants is to be publicly associated with the hero clan. Selma, being a seasoned leader, counters that maintaining rookie morale is more important than strict honesty. She explains that a slightly bent truth increases confidence, which in turn increases the odds of mission success, making everyone's life easier in the process. Oren finds himself unable to produce a convincing counterargument, and by then, the damage is already done. He is ultimately assigned to a team of 3 rookies for the expedition. The trio immediately declare themselves the best rookies in the entire clan and confidently announce their grand ambitions. From Oren's perspective as a veteran, the only conclusion he can reach is that they are suffering from a severe case of overconfidence. The team leader is a young man named Logan Hayward, followed by the energetic Caroline, and finally the shy but familiar Sophia. During the expedition, the first monsters they encounter are a pair of oversized wolves, which promptly blunder into one of Oren's spell traps. How none of the rookies detect the wolves beforehand remains a mystery, rivaling the Bermuda Triangle, especially given that they are supposedly trained for exactly this scenario. As they continue through the dungeon, the difficulty steadily increases, forcing the rookies to reveal their abilities. While all 3 prove capable, their flaws quickly become apparent. Logan, in particular, behaves less like a commanding leader and more like a stressed-out child venting his frustrations whenever things go wrong. Eventually, the party reaches their objective for the day, and everyone returns safely. The next morning, Oren wakes up only to discover that his former party has metaphorically shoved yet another middle finger in his direction. The hero clan has publicly announced that they have acquired a new enchanter and have officially parted ways with Oren. The announcement feels less like a professional separation and more like a public execution of his reputation. Needing to clear his head, Oren heads out and unexpectedly encounters another familiar face, Luna. She attempts to convince him to return to the party, insisting that not everyone agreed with how things were handled. Orun refuses, explaining that his former teammates did not simply let him go, they humiliated him. While Luna may be one of the few good things about the clan, one person alone cannot overturn the will of the entire group. With that, Orun parts ways with her as well. The next episode opens with Orun making his way toward the Night Sky Silver Rabbits expedition site, his mood noticeably somber. His thoughts are consumed by the same fear that has haunted him since morning. How his peers and the rookies would now perceive him after the explosive article that dominated the front page. Until yesterday, he had managed to keep the truth buried, but now the entire world knew. The report revealed that he had not left his previous party by choice. He had been expelled. Worse still, it openly declared that his banishment was due to his weakness. Orun fully expects the rookies of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits to regard him with suspicion and doubt. When he finally arrives and greets them with a strained smile, his fears are quickly confirmed. The rookies return his greeting with far less enthusiasm than before. Even the most oblivious observer could tell that they had learned the truth overnight and no longer looked up to him as they once had. The tension in the air is unmistakable. Though the rookies have lost faith in him, their respect for hierarchy keeps them from voicing their doubts openly. The atmosphere shifts when Selma arrives. Without hesitation, she offers a public apology to Orun. She explains that she had previously used his former party affiliation to bolster the rookie's morale, only for the news of his banishment to completely undermine that effort. Orun responds calmly, telling Selma to lift her head as she always does. He insists that she has nothing to apologize for. At that moment, one of the members of the Night Sky Silver Rabbit speaks up, pointing out that the reason behind Orun's expulsion is ultimately irrelevant. What truly matters, they argue, is that Orun has experienced reaching as deep as dungeon level 94. That alone makes him an invaluable asset. His record proves that he is more than capable of guiding a group of rookies safely to level 51. These words gradually restore the shaken morale of both his peers and the rookies who have been quietly harboring doubts about his ability. Soon after, the group prepares to enter the dungeon. Orun is assigned to lead the same rookies he had been paired with the previous day. Before moving out, he breaks the ice by apologizing for not being honest about his expulsion from his former party. Caroline and Sophia respond with understanding, far more forgiving than Logan, the youngest among them. Logan bluntly asks whether the newspaper's claims are true. Orun admits that, unfortunately, most of what was written is accurate. He acknowledges that he was deemed too weak for his previous party, and does not deny it. Logan falls silent, inwardly scolding himself for his own naivete. Just a day ago, he had been eager and excited to be led by Orun. Now, he feels foolish for having admired him so readily. Sophia, however, reacts differently. Having once been saved by Orun, she openly dismisses the newspaper's account as a distortion of the truth. She states firmly that she has witnessed Orun's abilities firsthand and believes he is anything but weak. Her words strike a chord with him, restoring the confidence he needs. Reinvigorated, Orun takes charge, and with renewed resolve, he leads the team into the dungeon as they begin their exploration of the lower floors. With Orun's extensive experience guiding them and the natural talent of Logan, Sophia, and Caroline supporting him, the four advance through the dungeon with remarkable efficiency. Floor after floor falls behind them with little resistance, and before long they reach level 31. Orun, keenly aware of the rookie's strengths and limitations, recognizes that from this point onward the dangers will escalate. He assumes full responsibility for the group's safety and informs them that he will be issuing commands from now on, relieving Logan of his role as acting leader. Their first encounter with orcs at this depth proves more challenging than expected. As anticipated, Caroline charges forward to draw the enemy's attention. Orun immediately instructs Logan to reinforce her with enhancement magic, allowing her to perform her role as a defender more effectively. Logan is not particularly impressed by these tactics. To him, the orders seem obvious, something anyone could have come up with under the circumstances. He privately concludes that perhaps the legendary Orun is not as exceptional as his reputation suggests, and that his banishment from a hero's party may have been justified. That assumption, however, does not last long. Mid-battle, Logan notices that Sophia has stopped moving as decisively as she usually does. Drawing on his own intuition, he quickly connects her hesitation to the recent trauma she suffered when she nearly lost her life to orcs. For a brief moment, Logan wonders whether Orun will fail to notice and whether he himself will need to intervene. Instead, Orun does something entirely unexpected. Rather than strengthening an ally, Orun casts a debuff directly onto the orc before them, weakening its abilities. Logan has never witnessed such magic use so effortlessly. Before anyone can react, Orun moves calmly to Sophia's side and reassures her, reminding her that this time she is not alone. He tells her that her friends are fighting alongside her and that the orcs pose no real threat. Those words pull Sophia out of her frozen state. Regaining her composure, she launches her trump card, Fire Javelin, obliterating the orc in a single strike. Logan can only stare in stunned silence. With Orun's precise support magic, The remaining orcs fall with surprising ease, and the party continues deeper into the dungeon. Upon reaching floor 35, Logan experiences genuine fear for the first time when they encounter a death tarantula, a massive, spider-like monster. He knows all too well that neither he, Caroline, nor Sophia could defeat such a creature on their own. Even now, he remains skeptical of Orin's true ability. That skepticism fades quickly. Orin issues flawless commands, positioning Logan safely in the rear while instructing him to grant Caroline an agility buff to help her evade the spider's attacks. He then orders a magic enhancement for Sophia, allowing her to sever the monster's legs with arrow cutter. The rookies believe the battle is over, but Orin alone remains vigilant, anticipating the creature's resilience. He orders additional buffs for Caroline just moments before the tarantula ensnares her in its web. When Logan's strength enhancement proves insufficient to free her, Orin intervenes directly, casting a rare sharpness enchantment on Caroline's blade. The enhanced weapon allows her to escape, and under Orin's continued direction, Sophia finishes the fight by crushing the monster with a massive rock spell. With the death tarantula defeated, the expedition for the day comes to an end. Later, the three rookies gather to discuss Orin's performance, their admiration unmistakable. They marvel at the sharpness enchantment he used, an advanced buff that enhances the weapon itself rather than the wielder, a technique rarely seen even among skilled enchanters. Logan also notes how astonishing Orin's debuff magic was, remarking that such spells are exceedingly rare and that even Selma uses them sparingly. Yet Orin cast them without effort. Sophia adds that when Orin once rescued her, his swordsmanship was just as impressive, proving that his talents extend far beyond support magic alone. By the end of their conversation, Logan's doubts about Orin have completely vanished. Elsewhere, Orin shares dinner with several members of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits. As they talk, he reveals his true ambition, to become a swordsman who can wield magic independently. He explains that in his previous team, the lack of a dedicated enchanter forced him into the role for the sake of his comrades. Now, he dreams of becoming a self-sufficient magic swordsman, capable of exploring the lower levels alone. He also recounts the story of his grandfather, a legendary swordsman who once slew a monstrous creature single-handedly with nothing but a blade. His new companions listen in awe, holding Orin in the highest regard. Meanwhile, Caroline and Sophia bathe together, reflecting on the fact that the following day will mark the final stage of the expedition, and their inevitable separation from Orin. Caroline suggests that Sophia try to convince him to stay. With the right words, she believes there may still be hope for Orin to become the newest and most valuable member of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits. The fourth episode opens with Orin making his way toward the southern dungeon site to begin the expedition with the Night Sky Silver Rabbits. This marks his final day with the party, as his contract with them was limited to just 3 days. As he arrives, he reunites with the 3 disciples who have accompanied him for the past 2 days, and who will remain at his side for this last mission as well. All 3 appear energetic and eager, brimming with confidence as they prepare to challenge the dungeon's lower floors. Their enthusiasm clearly stems from their absolute trust in Orin's abilities. Caroline openly remarks that the 3 of them would like to receive a gift if they successfully clear the lower floors by the end of the day. Sophia, however, has only one wish in mind. More than any material reward, she wants Orin to become a permanent member of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits. Before she can gather the courage to express her feelings, Selma calls out to Orin from a distance. He steps away at once, apologizing for the abrupt interruption and explaining that he must respond, as Selma would not call him without a good reason. As he heads toward her, Orin overhears a group of rookie adventurers whispering that the hero's party will also be raiding the dungeon today, accompanied by their new enchanter. According to rumors, they plan to begin their expedition on a floor as deep as the 92nd. The news strikes Orin as illogical. From his perspective, introducing a new member should warrant starting at a much safer level rather than plunging straight into the dungeon's inner depths. After a brief moment of consideration, he dismisses the thought and continues on his way, reminding himself that the hero's party is no longer his concern. Meanwhile, on that same day, the hero's party is already far within the dungeon, accompanied by their newly recruited and supposedly powerful enchanter, Philly Carpenter. Their leader, Oliver, raises the party's spirits by declaring that they will conquer the dungeon in no time now that Orin is no longer holding them back. He further reassures them that, with such a formidable enchanter now on their side, victory is all but guaranteed. The scene shifts back to 2 days earlier, to the moment when the new enchanter, Philly, is introduced into the den of the hero's party. To celebrate the addition of what Oliver proudly calls a powerful new member, he hosts a lavish feast. With the exception of Orin, only one person is missing from the gathering: Luna, the sole member of the party who had consistently valued Orin's contributions. Throughout the feast, the conversation revolves around a single topic. The party repeatedly claims that their true potential had long been suppressed by Orin, whom they now dismiss as nothing more than dead weight. With Philly now on their side, they confidently declare that nothing will stand in their way as they prepare to clear the Southern Gate dungeon. They praise Philly's extensive experience, emphasizing her record of reaching the 100th floor of the Western Dungeon as proof of their assured success. The celebration is abruptly interrupted when Luna rushes into the den, clearly distressed. She demands to know what is happening and why Orin is now working with the night sky's silver rabbits. Her words leave the room in stunned silence. The idea that a supposedly weakened channel like Orin could be recruited so easily by such a renowned party baffles them. Luna immediately voices her objections, questioning what could have happened while she was away from town. Anelli hastily fabricates a story, claiming that Orin chose to leave the party of his own accord. This explanation leaves Luna to briefly wonder if Orin had simply given up on them. Derek, the party's defender, is far more blunt. He states that Orin was deemed too weak to remain a member of the Heroes Party, and explains that Oliver and the others decided to cut him loose if they were ever to clear the deeper levels of the Southern Dungeon. With everyone present, Oliver seizes the opportunity to reveal his plan. Now that they have a new enchanter, he intends to begin their next expedition on the 92nd floor to test their teamwork. Luna strongly objects, stating that she has no desire to die and that starting at such a deep level is reckless. Despite her protests, Oliver eventually persuades her to go along with the plan. The scene then returns to present, where the hero's party is locked in combat with a massive, elephant-like monster deep within the dungeon. Oliver blocks one of its attacks and charges forward with all his strength, only to find that his blow has almost no effect. Confused, he wonders why his body feels so weak. When the enchantment buff provided by Philly fades, his limbs grow unbearably heavy, leaving him barely able to stand. This is an entirely new and unsettling experience for him. Oliver demands an explanation from Philly, asking why her buffs keep wearing off and leaving them weaker instead of stronger. Philly struggles to answer and admits that she has not yet figured out how the party fights as a unit. Oliver finds this unacceptable, as he is unaccustomed to such performance from an enchanter. He recalls how Orin had always been quick to read his allies' attack patterns and devise precise countermeasures without being asked. Meanwhile, Derek blocks another incoming strike, only for the blow to be deflected toward Anelli. He is shocked at how difficult it is to defend against such a basic attack. Anelli fires a spell at the monster, but the damage is negligible, no more effective than tossing popcorn at a healthy adult. Frustrated, Oliver orders her to stop holding back and attack with the power she normally displays. Anelli, however, admits that she cannot understand what is wrong with her magic. Growing desperate, Oliver asks Philly to reapply her buff to Anelli, which she does. Even so, Anelli's next attack remains just as weak and ineffective. Oliver then tells Philly to read the flow of battle and determine their next move, only for her to reply that she is unable to do so. Oliver is taken aback, believing that reading the battlefield is an enchanter's responsibility. In reality, it had never been Philly's role at all. Orin had been performing that function for the team all along. Without realizing it, the party had become completely dependent on him. As the fight drags on, Oliver still cannot explain his own weakness. By all logic, the support magic cast by Philly should have been far stronger than Orin's. Yet, faced with the harsh reality of battle, the difference between theory and experience becomes painfully clear. Luna is the first to fully grasp what is truly happening to the party. Just as she is about to explain the reason behind their sudden weakness, an ominous presence descends upon the battlefield. Without warning, the Black Dragon appears. At this point, Oliver completely loses his composure. Everything rapidly begins to spiral out of control. The Black Dragon does not leave the boss area. Yet, for reasons unknown, it casually approaches the party as if merely stretching its wings. A faint sense of heroism still lingers within the group. After all, they had defeated this very dragon once before, even when the odds were stacked against them. However, that victory had been achieved with Orin at their side. Still refusing to acknowledge the significance of Orin's role, the party chooses to confront the Black Dragon once more, this time relying on their new enchantress. Before long, it becomes painfully clear that this was a fatal miscalculation and all hope quickly fades. Realizing they stand no chance, the party hastily devises an escape plan. Luna activates a rare artifact capable of transporting all party members to an upper floor of the dungeon, although doing so would force them to face a different boss. It is far preferable to certain death at the hands of the Black Dragon. A portal opens, but the group hesitates for too long. Seizing the opportunity, the dragon spreads its wings and enters the portal before any of them can react. Derek is the only one momentarily relieved, believing that they are now safe. Luna immediately shatters that illusion, pointing out that the Black Dragon has been transported to a floor typically occupied by weak bosses. This means that countless adventurers currently on that level are now in mortal danger. After taking the time to heal her allies, Luna begins to explain the true reason behind their current struggles as they move to intercept the dragon and save the other adventurers. First, she explains that Orin was a master strategist, capable of formulating flawless battle plans in mere moments. Second, despite the apparent weakness of his enchantment magic, Auron had developed several additional forms of magic that had been supporting the party all along without their awareness. Luna gives a clear example, stating that one of Auron's spells affected weapons and equipment rather than people. This meant that even when standard buffs expired, their swords and shields remained unnaturally light, preventing the crushing fatigue they were now experiencing. As a result, the team had never gradually weakened during prolonged battles. Furthermore, Auron had been exceptionally skilled at compensating for allies who possessed resistance to buff magic. Oliver, in particular, could not be enhanced for more than a minute by conventional means. Auron had countered this limitation through refined techniques and deep understanding rather than raw spell power. Luna then reveals Auron's greatest secret. He had created an original spell capable of increasing a person's offensive potency by more than 50 times. The revelation leaves the entire party in disbelief. Such magic was unheard of. She explains that Auron had been applying the spell during Oliver's and Anelli's strongest attacks, which was why their blows had once seemed overwhelmingly powerful. Oliver had believed those feats were achieved through his own strength, merely supported by Auron's standard buffs. The truth, however, is far more sobering. Auron himself had been the true source of their power all along. As the party advances to rescue the other adventurers, Oliver is weighed down by guilt for the chaos he has caused. Even so, his pride still overpowers his reason. He refuses to accept that Auron had been the foundation of their success from the very beginning. Instead, he silently vows to defeat the Black Dragon on his own, determined to prove that he does not need Auron's help, no matter the cost.